Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm going to show my game against Jeremy O'Carroll from the Oceania Zonals. This is round 7, and this is quite a crucial round. Um, I was on 4.5 out of 6, and I'm playing a 2068. Very strong player. Previously like around 2300. Although he has dropped, he's still very strong. I have the black pieces, and I pretty much have to win this if I want FM, which I did not end up getting. I had a pretty bad tournament, but yeah. At least I won this game, and I think this is a very interesting game. I played the Scandinavian, so e4 d5, one of my favorite openings. And this game won't seem very special because we got an endgame like instantly. By the way, after queen e2, there are two interesting options. There's this knight d4 endgame, which is pretty interesting. Like, white has doubled f pawns, I have doubled e pawns. I can like play knight h6, knight f5, castles g6, g7, etc. And it's interesting. I wasn't really sure. Like, I didn't know there was much fury here. I much prefer playing the other endgame. After queen e6, queen e2, just taking. Takes, knight d4. This is all fury. I'll turn off the engine. And after bishop d1, it's already sort of an interesting position. We have given up the bishop pair, and we are in an endgame where there are different majorities, so I guess in theory white should have an advantage, and white kind of does have an advantage. I mean, I played the Scandinavian, so I'm not expecting to equalize or anything, but it's still interesting, and there are imbalances, so I can play for the win, even if white is better, you know? And white can still mess up their advantage, and yes, white does have the bishop pair, but one of black's plans in the game is to go g6, bishop h6, and exchange off this bishop. Also, after e5, I have more control over the center, so white can't really get c3, d4 in because I'll have so much control of this d4 square. And therefore, I can claim that I have a space advantage, and I have a bit more activity and development in exchange for the bishop pair. And I'm also going to exchange with g6, bishop h6. So, this endgame may look easier for white to play, but I actually think it's easier for black to play, if you know, like, the subtleties and stuff. Actually, a better move is castles here, which I kind of forgot. This is like the theory that I studied, but I was scared of this, but I can just go e5. So that was kind of stupid for me. But okay, e5 kind of directly stops c3, d4, and knight c6, d3. He has to develop his queenside bishop, so I just castle. He goes bishop c2, only move to defend, and yeah, and now I have a weakness, sort of a weakness. This is more of a potential weakness, as I pretty much can't attack this. I can attack this with my rook, but his bishop will always defend. And I mean, I could get a knight to c5 like in a million moves, but he can just be like bishop e3 or b4. So this pawn is not really a weakness unless I can exchange this bishop off. But I guess it is a potential long-term weakness. For example, in a rook endgame, this is definitely a weakness. So that's just another thing for black. I play g6. As I said, going for this plan. If I exchange bishops, then it depends, honestly. I mean, I could talk all about these positional factors, but all that really matters in chess is concreteness and calculation. So white does still have an advantage, even if I do get this plan through. For certain reasons, like I am wasting a bit of time, and I may not be the greatest in h6 and stuff, but he's a strong positional player, so, and he didn't really want to exchange the bishops off, which is very understandable, but exchange, for me, he has to sort of mess up his coordination. So what happened in the game is castles, bishop h6, and knight d2, avoiding this exchange, but now if you move the knight, then I will exchange the bishops, so he may have to go for this awkward plan of b3, bishop b2, which creates a bit of weaknesses. For example, the c3 pawn, and it's a bit slow, and the bishop may not be so well placed there. So, and after knight d2, I go f5, just taking very nice control of the center. So I have a very nice space advantage. I'll have very active pieces, and I think even though white is still better here, it's still easier for black to play, and white is to play sort of awkwardly, unintuitively. And yeah, I like this end game. Maybe not against a GM. I'll probably just lose this, but he's a GM, so I'll lose anyway. Not just kidding, I can draw GMs. But alright, next move sort of surprised me. He went for a very interesting plan. Like, I thought knight f3 was probably it's what I thought was the critical move, and it's what I was calculating. After takes knight f6, rook e1, rook e8. I guess it doesn't look so bad for black. But my e pawn can be a bit weak. He can double up here. I don't really have much of a way to pressure this in exchange. I can hold this pawn with like doubling on the e file and stuff, or going for e4 push. But it's really not so easy for like black to continue. There's no pawn breaks exactly. I can try to improve my pieces like knight e5, knight e4, but he can just play g3. So I didn't think this was so great for me, actually. I was kind of scared, but it does involve exchanging the bishop pair, and he told me after the game he didn't want to play this because he thought his bishop pair was his only asset. But yeah, this endgame was just a bit better for him, I think. But yeah, it is easier for black to play because white has to make weird moves like knight f3. He plays rook d1, a very interesting plan. So he wants to play for some sort of b3 or b4, and then bishop b2, and then this knight is defended. Yeah, which it is a bit awkward also, because I mean, I think his ideal placement for the rooks are e1 and d1, or like e1 and e2, doubling on the e file. So he's a bit, and then in general, I mean, his piece coordination is a bit weird, right? So in exchange, I will follow up with natural development, and now he plays b4. Very, very ambitious. I guess if this all works out, then he has a pretty good position with this queenside space and a bishop pair that will be maintained, but it's not developing, and even though it's an endgame, black's development lead is starting to get a little worrying. Like, I can play rook e1, e4, open up the center. There could be some tactical problems with the knight. One move I was calculating here, just trying to directly exploit this weakness, is knight d5. The only move is bishop b2, and I can get knight f4, and this looks pretty good actually, but he just goes knight f3. I don't know what I meant to do here. The engine says it's equal, but like, he's gonna eventually play like king h2 g3, kick me back, and maybe some d4 or like c4 or b5. My pieces can get kicked back really easily, and I don't think I really achieve much. So this is an interesting concrete way to play, but it's not the greatest. So I just play rook e8, developing all of my pieces, and my pieces are pretty beautiful. Maybe this knight in c6 isn't so good because it's just pawn in c3, it's kind of restricting it, but other than that, I have pretty cool pieces. I can follow up with like this e4 break or centralize my knight. Yeah. He makes another pawn move, b5. It's interesting. Like, he can play bishop a3 and get this diagonal, so he's created a new diagonal for his bishop. He's created a bit more weaknesses also, though. Like, the c5 square of his b5 pawn is a bit weak. But I don't really have the greatest square for my knight. I could go to b8, it's sort of passive. It's not actually that bad of a move. I still have a plan for it to go to c5 and pressure this pawn. I can go knight e7, but I don't think it's so well placed, and potentially he can make this move c4, which weakens the d4 square, but it's not really so easy for me to get a knight like to control it, right? This b5 pawn controls the c6 square. My knights are far away from the e6 square, so he's following up with bishop e2 and pressure here. But after b5, I thought knight a5 was quite nice of a move. And this is prophylaxis, because I think his next move is bishop b2, and then he will maintain his bishop pair. But after knight a5, he can no longer play bishop d2, because I will take, and I have this nice tactic. You cannot take because of the rook hanging, and now he just loses an exchange here. He has to play bishop c1, takes, and I'm dead winning, like e4, I don't know. So, knight a5, and yeah, okay, what does he do? He can play bishop a3, I will take, and I will win material. So And eventually you do have to develop your pieces. So he sort of bails out with knight b3, and now I'm finally able to exchange these bishops. And his ambitious plan of like rook d1 b4 going for like maintaining the bishops, it doesn't even work. So he's just essentially wasted a lot of time and created weaknesses. It's still not that simple though, because I have some issues here. I cannot really take... Oh wait, no, I can take. Oh wait, I'm just stupid. Okay, just forget that. I play bishop takes c1. He can't take here because I win a pawn, so he has to take with the rook. And it's actually interesting. Taking with this rook is quite an interesting move, because if I take, now he just takes with the pawn and this rook is already active. And I don't really have any squares for but I was actually going to play b6 here, which is pretty cool. I like totally ruined my pawn structure. But for one, I can undouble these pawns with a6, king b7, a6, and then I get rid of my double pawns. And it's really not easy to attack this pawn. I mean, maybe you can play this, but I'll just get my king to b6. And yeah, I'll just play a6, undouble these pawns, and maybe get some play on the b file. These pawns can be a bit weak also, right? So this is a very interesting endgame, and very interesting concept to play b6. Instead of taking it, just giving him all of this activity, like king b8, rook a3. It's very annoying, especially with this pawn in b5, and it's not easy to defend. So he takes with the other rook though, which, I mean, it's natural enough, right? And probably b6 is a bit unnecessary here, because I think taking is perfectly fine, and now he doesn't have a rook on a1 to be active. Taking with the pawn is possible to like activate the rook, but now I have knight d5, and now there's no rook a7 in response. And if you play bishop b1, then you're not going to get a rook here, and these pawns, I'm not sure I doubled them, I guess. And if you play c4, of course, I have millions of dark squares now, and I'm very happy here. Like, I can just play knight c5. My knight is so good here, I can play like c5 later, maybe. Takes, and then go to d4 and stuff. So, yeah. He just takes with the bishop, which is fine. It's a very interesting position already. It's a knight versus bishop endgame. And again, in theory, it looks good for white, but white has created some weak squares here, like the c5 square. They also have their rooks aren't so well placed right now. Their pawns are a little tender, and black is just very well developed. King is a bit more active than this king, so these dynamic factors make up for like white's theoretical advantage with like the bishop versus knight, because the bishop is better here. Maybe like if white have a few more tempo to consolidate, because it's a position with two separate majorities. So I have a kingside majority, white has a queenside majority, so I mean, endgames potentially will have like battles with different pass pawns and stuff, where a bishop will easily outshine a knight. One also small like chess tip you should know is that a rook bishop is better than a knight rook combination. And in contrast, okay, this is all general stuff, by the way. Like, concrete stuff always overrules these general rules. But knight and queen is better than knight and bishop. So there's just some cool chess tips to know in evaluation. But of course, yeah, concrete stuff. I play e4 here. Very cool move. And there's a couple ideas here. For example, if you take, I have some nasty tactical ideas. After takes. This is hanging. If rook d3, knight c5, and then like I'll get my rook here or here. I can take here. My knight is beautiful. I like my position a lot. Rook c1 is just very passive. I can just play like rook here. And one problem for white, just because this move h3, if you ever play f3, then I'll get this beautiful square and consolidate with f4. And yes, so I would be very active in these endgames. So taking is not really a good option, just because of white's poor coordination for now. And he plays the move d4. Very interesting. We have a very cool position, and this is actually a position I fought for like 20 minutes maybe. I thought this is quite a critical position, and now like sort of the nature of the position has changed quite a lot. With these two pawn moves, like we've sort of clarified matters in the center. I believed this was a critical moment, and it's important to find the correct plan in this position. And I sort of thought there were a lot of plans here. I played g5. I sort of wanted to play like h5, but there's bishop f7. So g5 sort of like prepares some sort of h5. Yeah, I should say in general, my plan is probably to just expand on the king side. And I thought it was a bit harder for white to play on the queen side, because if you go like c4, this is weak. If you go like d5, this c5 square, e5 squares are weak. I thought I just had an easier time pushing my pawns, because like I don't have to worry about weak squares really, since white doesn't have a knight. So yeah, e4, d4, g5. I can play for like h4, h5. I can also go for like interesting plans with g4 and like take, maybe build a kingside attack. I don't know, man. I don't know. Also g4, g3 with like a rook and g7 takes, and then I would be able to get a protected pass pawn on e4. That's a nice potential plan if white does nothing. So after g5, he goes rook e1. Probably not the right plan. It's just a bit passive, and I can defend against his ideas. Oh, also one thing I should say, e3. This is it's a move I calculated for a while, and this is probably like why I was calculating so well long in this position, because this could be potentially very good. Like taking is like not a good move, and even though it does look quite natural, like I played e3, so take, right? But there are many annoying lines for it. Like you can try to exchange all the rooks with like king f2 here, but then f4. I have very nice resources here. Takes, and then if you try to challenge me, then I have 94. I'll take a pawn. I mean, if you do nothing, 94 comes. And yeah, I'm maybe playing g5, h5, g4, g3. It's very pleasant. It's because of my good control of this e3 square. So e3, definitely a very good move, but I thought after e3 you can play rook e1, which is very annoying. Takes, 94. He will go king f3, maybe g4. His king is sort of active. It can like long-term penetrate. King here. He can challenge my knight. I could just like trade rooks or something here, but I don't think I exactly have much here. And sort of like if I just do nothing, my dynamics advantages will disappear and his static advantage, or this bishop versus knight imbalance, will start to shine a little more. So yeah, rook e1 is a bit annoying move, and it kind of refutes this whole e3 idea. So for now, we just keep the tension and we play g5. Nice expanding move. Yeah, rook e1 and rook e7. I can play h5, part of my plan, but he goes bishop f7, bishop g6, and then this pawn is weak and he's activated his bishop. I don't want to do that. So rook e7 is a prophylaxis against that. He doubles into e file. Now his plan is to go f3 eventually, where I would always like to meet with e3, but if I continue on my plan, he can go f3, and then I can't go e3. And maybe this is still fine for me, but I would like to meet f3 of e3, so I don't allow any pawn breaks from him, and I maintain control of the position. So after rook e1, I go rook e8, and now f3, e3, I'm very comfortable. He plays c4, a bit controversial because of this pawn, but he does stop 95, and 95, 94 was a bit annoying, so yeah, c4, h4, expanding. There are some interesting lines here of like this pawn sack to get a protected pass pawn and try to like win this, but I think he's sort of a pawn up here. I don't know why I need to sack a pawn. Gives him a bit too much counterplay, and I don't think my pawn really goes anywhere. So yeah, I can play f4. This is probably just a good move. It's also just a good move, but probably I don't want to weaken this like so early. I can wait with moves like h4. H4, he plays bishop c2, and I don't make the best move here. I play knight h5. So his idea right now is to go f3, and if I play e3, he takes here. So knight h5 is prophylaxis against that. And now f3, I can go knight g3. And rook e3, like if you go rook here, I can go here and this is defended. If you go here, I can go f4 and then e3, and I'm just dead winning. Like with this pawn and this knight, it's just GG. So yeah. But he plays a strong move, and I sort of missed this rook e3. And now, like if I do nothing, f3, I can't go e3, and then knight g3 is not a tempo anymore, so he just takes. I could get a position like this, but I felt like my pieces are a bit tied down. Even though I have a strong knight, a strong pawn, I didn't think it was so easy to make progress with all my pieces tied down. So, rook e3, I play knight f4, which is not the best continuation. I think, what does the engine want? It just wants rook d7, which makes a lot of sense. Just putting pressure. If he goes here, I don't even know what the engine wants then. What does he want? Okay, then I go back and I created weaknesses. That makes sense. Like now, maybe I'll get my knight like here. After knight f4, my idea after f3, which looks a bit problematic, is knight e6, which is a counterattack. And I thought his best move was to go into something like this. And then like rook f1, maybe rook f6 or rook f5 is coming. Could be a bit annoying. I guess black's probably still better, just because of this pawn and knight. This pawn is very strong, and this knight's very strong. But I didn't think it was so easy to like break through, right? Because he has a blockade here. But I guess probably like a plan is to bring in a king or something, I don't know. But he makes a really bad move actually. He just takes here. And now I can take with tempo, threatening a fork. Yes, the way bishop one, and now f4. And he's pretty much, I mean, this beautiful move f4 just kills all of his pieces, all of his rooks and bishops. Like, it's now, this e4 pawn is murdering his piece activity. And now I have these wonderful squares secured, e5, c5. And let's say a dream position would be something like this, where I have a total blockade and everything. And I'll just like slowly improve my position and then maybe play like a6, open the a file. Penetrate everything, and he has no counterplay because of this yuck pawn killing all of his pieces. So this is beautiful stuff. Beautiful positional chess. Alright, f4, rook a3, king b8 only move to defend, and he makes a little bit of a mistake. He plays king f2. We both have like low time. Like I have like 10 minutes, he has 3 minutes, so we don't play the best at this point. But now, he just saw his knight f5, and now my knight is going to 1,000,000 squares. Yeah, and you can't take because I win in exchange. So he plays rook d1, and on knight d6 I just win a pawn. It's not easy still though. Like I can win a pawn, but the resulting position, he's sort of getting active with his king. I'm only a pawn up, but I have a lot of cool like resources and stuff, and this is actually objectively winning still. And my rook is just active enough, my king is active enough, I can create play on the king side still. So yeah. King c8, king f3, rook e5, rook d3. Very logical and important rule in rook games. You cut off the king. It's one of the cool things about a rook. You can cut stuff off because of how it works. And kings are also cool because they can be very active and eat pawns, like these pawns. So you don't allow this. Like if I got my king to f6, I can defend this and then just like destroy him. Because I wouldn't have to use my rook defending this pawn. I can just like be active or whatever. Alright, okay, but I do have c6, and that's the issue. And now I just have an easy path for my king to eat this pawn. And this is pretty much winning at this point. It's super hard to defend. Even though he has a very active king, he can't really do much. Like, if you ever lead this pawn, it's too slow, and then king and pawn games are eventually winning for me, which happened in the game. So he goes rook d4, a5, nice move, just expanding. Always nice to gain space, and this move did eventually win me the game, because if I get like a pawn to a3, then king and pawn games are just easily winning, because this pawn is already advanced, and these extra tempos help me a lot. Rook here, king up, and a4. he eats the pawn, and I guess he calculated king takes c4, which is a draw, just barely because of stuff. But king b4 is a nice move, and then it's just GG. Like, for example, takes g3, takes here, here, bam, and then I just win by a tempo. So that's just the one sad stuff. That's the sad stuff that can happen in king opponent games. Anything can happen. And now, I guess he played him for a few more moves, but is winning. So yeah, I thought it was an interesting game. It was an end game. It was my highest rated ring during this tournament. And I was black. I'm pretty happy with it. I thought I played well during an end game. And like, he's old, and old people are supposed to be good at end games, and I'm a kid, so it's sort of like David versus Goliath. But I won. So yeah, thank you for watching.